Hello, everybody. We will be showcasing some of the features of Pop CLI. In this concrete demo, we will be creating a new chain. We will be building its spec and registering this chain into Polkadot's testnet Paseo, such that it can be run as a parachain. Just a note before starting, during the whole flow of the demo, you will see that I'm going to be using like a lot of interactive flows, such that Pop CLI expects a user to like provide input to the tool, right? Um, this is handy sometimes. But of course, Pop CLI also like accepts all these inputs as CLI flags, such that it can be useful within scripting scenarios or like agentic flows. So let's go right ahead. Let's create a new chain. We just need to type pop new chain, and we're gonna give it a name. This is gonna be called the pop demo chain, right? This is gonna generate a new directory for us with the whole project, with the whole structure. We can just like change directory into it, and we can inspect a little bit what we have in here. We have basically the heart of the business logic of our runtime, of our chain, which is the runtime. It's ready to hack. It's ready to like receive changes, receive like upgrades, whatever business logic you want to build on top of this template, right? That we are starting from. For this demo, I'm not going to make any changes. Let's assume that what we have is ready to be deployed, in this case, on the testnet. For that, right? We're gonna need a couple of things. We're gonna need like the Genesis state. We're gonna need the Genesis wasn't in order to register this in the testnet. And for that, we're gonna need to build our spec, the chain spec, which is like the specification of the chain, and is where we will be like generating these artifacts from. We can do that very easily just by typing pulp build spec, and this command is gonna guide us through like um, providing some input, some information that is required, right, to this process. We're gonna build a spec. It's gonna ask us, okay, where do we want this like file to be outputted? I'm gonna create a new directory called Genesis, and the spec is just gonna be called spec.json. And by doing this, like all the output is gonna be placed in the very same Genesis directory than this spec. So let's go with this. Which parachain should we use? And we're gonna be using 5133 as it is available, and we're gonna do this registration on chain on the testnet live. So let's go with that. We're gonna be connecting to Paseo live, not a local version of it. We're gonna mark this as a live chain. We're gonna be using like a release profile. Maybe we want to call our protocol pop proto. Do we want to use our local host as a boot node? Just why not? Just for the demo is fine. Do we want to generate the Genesis state file? Of course we want to do, because we will need this for the registration process. The very same way with the Genesis code file. Yes. Do you want to use deterministic build? Usually you do want to. I'm going to choose now just for the demo to make things a little bit faster. So now we see like the runtime is being compiled. I'm going to pause the video recording here, and I'll be back right after the compilation. All right. The compilation of the runtime has finished, and we can see that now Bob is asking us like which Genesis preset to use, right? This is going to choose some values as part of the Genesis state of our spec. We're just going to choose local testnet for this one. For the demo, for the options available, there's not really that much difference, right? So now we have already like built a spec, so we can change directories into our new Genesis directory and see everything that has been generated. As we can see, we have the Genesis code available as well as the state and the spec in its plain and raw version. So with this ready, we can proceed into like registering this chain, for which I'm gonna execute a pop call chain, and I'm gonna filter through the list by typing the name Paseo, because this is the chain that I want to send transactions to, right? And now we're gonna choose. We have like this very handy short list of like 13 actions. If we go into other, we can see we will be able to see all the palettes with all the extrinsics available, and we will be able to filter by typing the actions we want to do again. But it just so happens that I want to reserve a party, and I can do that from here. Now he's asking me like, how would I like to sign this transaction? whether using like a well-known key or like maybe a browser extension. I want to use a browser extension, right? So I choose that option. And let me bring this into the recording. Now we have new browser tab where we will see a little bit of the information of the transaction that we are about to sign. And this is done such that we can use our extension, our extension wallet, right? We can see like the palette, we can see the extrinsic, right? This is the code that we're gonna make. And we can see like some information related to the fees and deposits that we're gonna be paying for dispatching, signing and dispatching this code. So let's go ahead and sign it. I'm happy with what I see. And now it's telling us, okay, the signing is successful. You can close this window now, and we'll come back to the terminal. So let's close this up. We are back in the terminal. We can see that it's like, okay, this has been submitted. We're waiting for this transaction to be final, so we can like basically show you what has happened. So you some events. We can see here the events that we have generated by some processing this transaction. We can see that we have reserved the par ID 5133. So we have the par ID. Now we want to register the WASM state and the WASM code for that par ID. Then do we want to perform another code? Yes, we do. And in this case, we're going to register a par ID with the genesis state and the code. Let's go ahead. Let's do that. Let's input the par ID. In our case, it's 5133. And then let's just choose the genesis state right there, which is located within the genesis directory. And now it's asking us for the validation code. This is the genesis code, which was that file within that directory. We can just go ahead, say yes, say we want to sign with user browser extension. Of course, we can see kind of like the summary of the call that we have just dispatched in line in case we want to do it again. Let me bring the browser again here, and we can see that, for example, in this case, we're going to be registering the code muscle, right, that we generated, and this is going to take a deposit of like this amount, this number of fees. So we're going to sign this. Let me go ahead and do that right there. Again, signing has been successful. Transaction has been dispatched, so now we are waiting a little bit for the transaction to be processed such that we can solve the events, basically. Meanwhile, what we could do is see what is happening on the real chain of Paseo, the chain that we are sending transactions to. And we can see, for example, here, that this is the very same event that we just saw from the terminal, and that we have just created like this registered event, right, that we should be able to see on terminal as well. There it is. This is the registered event that we just like submitted. We can see that the behavior and like the changes are happening on both sides at the same time. So now like this chain 5133 is onboarding, right? This is like a very important specific behavior, right? That is like we have registered the state and the WASM we're going to be running with. So now like this chain is being onboarded, at which point or after this time we will be ready to like procure core time and start producing blocks with our chain, and just the relay chain will start validating our blocks. So this is it for this flow. I hope it was clear, and I hope this is useful for your needs, your Polkadot SDK needs, and please, yeah, visit onpop.io for way more information.